Listen to two versions of one sentence. I walked to work and I walked to work. The first has an extra syllable. The second ends with a quick T sound. Which one sounds natural? We will discover why ed changes its sound. Most learners make a spelling-based guess. They see ed and say addition in speech. The better starting point is the final sound of the base verb. Listen for the last sound in walk, not the last letter.
My first guess was walked, because the ending looks like a separate syllable. But in walked, I hear only one beat. The question is not how ed looks. It is what the mouth and voice are doing immediately before the ending.
There are three possible outcomes: AT sound, AD sound, or an extra syllable with the sound ID. Do not choose from spelling. First, identify the final sound in the base verb. That one decision controls the ending. Here is the fastest test. Put two fingers lightly on your throat and say walk. There is no vibration at the final K. Say call. You feel vibration on the final L. No vibration means voiceless. Vibration means voiced. Try the pair laugh and love. Laugh ends in F with no throat vibration. Love ends in V with vibration. The letters can distract you, but the sound is decisive. Say each base verb slowly. Listen to its final consonant, then choose the ending. Use this listening test before adding an ending.
Let me test one. The last sound in laugh is F, so it is voiceless. That means laughed takes a T sound, not a new syllable. I hear laughed, not laughed. The rule predicts the answer before I memorize it.
Now we can state the first rule precisely. After a voiceless sound, except T, the written ed is pronounced as T. Walk becomes walked, with K followed by T. Cook becomes cooked, with the same short ending. Both words stay one syllable. Watch what happens with kissed, washed, and helped. The base verbs end in S, SH, and P. Those sounds are voiceless, so the past forms finish with T. Do not add a vowel between the base and the ending. Keep the final movement compact. A common mistake is saying wash ID or help ID. That extra vowel changes the rhythm and makes the sentence unnatural. Say, she washed the car and he helped his friend. The ending is present, but it is a consonant, not another syllable.
I will check two more. Fixed and watched. Fix ends with the K and S sounds, and watch ends with CH. Both are voiceless, so both past forms use the T sound. The spelling is different. Pronunciation follows the final sound.
The second rule works in the opposite direction. After a voice sound, except D, ed is pronounced as D. Call becomes called. Play becomes played. Both words keep one syllable. Listen for vibration before you decide. That is the sound clue. Compare closed with kissed. Close ends with a voiced Z sound, so closed finishes with D. Kiss ends with a voiceless S sound, so kissed finishes with T. The final letters look similar, but the voice changes the answer. Use the same test with lived, opened, and earned. The final sounds are V, N, and N, all voiced. Their past forms take the D sound. Say, she lived nearby, he opened the door, and they earned enough. Notice the single-syllable rhythm.
Cleaned ends with D because clean finishes with a voiced N. Cooked ends with T because cook finishes with a voiceless K. The written ending is identical, but the sound before it determines whether the past form ends in D or T.
Now for the only ending that adds a syllable. When a base verb already ends in T or D, the extra vowel protects the pronunciation. Want becomes wanted with an ID ending. Need becomes needed. Start becomes started. These forms have two beats. Do not apply the ID sound to every word ending in ed. Walked does not become walk ID, because walk ends in K. Called does not become call ID, because call ends in L. The extra syllable belongs after a T or D sound. Here is a spelling trap. Liked ends with the letter E in its base spelling, but like finishes with K. Therefore, liked uses the T sound. Say, I liked the film, with one beat in liked. The written E does not create an extra syllable.
Now compare wanted and waited. Want ends in T, and wait also ends in T, so both past forms use the extra ID syllable. Say, I wanted more time, and we waited outside. The ending follows the final sound, not a memory trick.
I used to think the spelling decided everything. But laughed proves that spelling can mislead. GH represents an F sound at the end of laugh. F is voiceless, so laughed takes T. I need to listen past the letters. Another trap is judged. The base ends with the voiced J sound, written with DG. Because that sound vibrates, judged takes the D ending. Say, the panel judged the idea. The final sound matters more than the letters representing it. Let us reason through 3 fresh verbs. Missed ends in S, so choose T. Borrowed ends in the vowel sound O, so choose D. Decided ends in D, so choose the extra ID syllable. One written ending creates 3 spoken results.
Take asked. The base verb ask ends with K, a voiceless sound. Add the T sound and say asked, not asked. In she asked a question, the ending connects smoothly to the next vowel. The sound stays short and clear.
Now take arrived. Arrive ends with the voiced V sound, so the past form ends in D. Say, they arrived early. There is no extra vowel after arrive. The voice in V continues naturally into D, giving the word one steady beat. Finally, examine needed. Need ends with D, the special trigger. The past form adds the ID syllable, needed. Say, we needed more practice. Count 2 beats needed. This is the one case where the ending is a full extra syllable. That extra beat is real. Pronunciation is easier when you listen before you speak. Say the base verb alone, hold the final sound, and notice your throat. Then attach T, D, or ID. This routine prevents the automatic habit of reading every ED as the word addition.
Listen to asked a question. The T sound at the end of asked meets the vowel at the beginning of A, so the phrase flows forward. Keep the ending light, then move directly into the next word.
Try the voiced example, called again. Called ends with D, and the following vowel keeps the phrase connected. Say it as one smooth thought, not as call it again. Do not erase the D. Place it naturally inside the rhythm. Now use the extra syllable in wanted another. Because want ends in T, wanted has 2 beats. Keep the first syllable strong and let the ID syllable stay short. Then continue into another, keeping the word light and natural. Here is a quick classification round. For washed, choose T. For borrowed, choose D. For decided, choose ID. Say each base verb first, identify its final sound, and then produce the past form. The reason must come before pronunciation. This keeps the choice evidence-based.
Check washed. Wash ends with SH, which is voiceless. The past form finishes with T, so say washed with 1 syllable. If you hear wash ID, stop and remove the extra vowel. The final consonant is enough to complete the past tense.
Check borrowed. Borrow ends with the voiced R sound, so the ending is D. Say borrowed with 2 written syllables, but 1 short D ending, not borrow ID. The word remains smooth because the base already contains its own vowel pattern. Check decided. Decide ends in D, the special trigger, so the ending becomes ID. Say decided with 3 beats. In a normal sentence, keep the final syllable short. She decided quickly. The extra syllable is real, but it is not stressed. Put the 3 results into one sentence. We watched, borrowed, and decided. Watched takes T, borrowed takes D, and decided takes ID. The verbs sit side by side, so your ear can compare the endings without changing the basic rule.
The midpoint test is laughed. GH represents an F sound at the end of laugh. Because F has no vibration, laughed ends with T. This harder example proves that sound, not spelling, controls the ending.
Compare closed and reached. Closed ends with voiced Z, so use D. Reached ends with voiceless CH, so use T. The verbs describe completed actions, but their endings behave differently. Touch your throat on the base verbs and let the evidence choose. Let the final sound choose. Consider fixed. The final sound is S after the K, and S is voiceless. Therefore, fixed ends with T, not D and not ID. Say, the technician fixed the screen. The letters X and E are not the decision. The final sound decides. Try recorded. As a verb, record ends with AD sound, so recorded takes the extra ID syllable. Say, she recorded the message. The stress stays on record, while the final ID remains light. This tests both sound and rhythm.
Now work without a hint. Promised ends with a voiced Z, so the answer is D. Stopped ends with voiceless P, so the answer is T. Invited ends with T, so the answer is ID. 3 new verbs, 3 sound decisions.
Build a sentence with the first two. He promised help and stopped outside. Promised uses D after Z. Stopped uses T after P. Say them naturally rather than separating the endings. The contrast is easiest to hear when both verbs appear in one breath. Here is another pair, reached and judged. Reached ends with CH, a voiceless sound, so use T. Judged ends with the voiced J sound, so use D. The spelling is complicated in both words, yet the throat test gives a clean answer. Use a 3-part story. She arrived, jumped, and painted the room. Arrived ends with D, jumped ends with T, and painted ends with T, so painted takes the extra ID syllable. Listen for 3 decisions in one sentence. D, T, then ID.
When you meet a new regular verb, follow the same routine. Ignore the letters ed for a moment. Say the base, identify its final sound, classify it as voiceless, voiced, T, or D, and attach the matching ending. Then check the rhythm.
Retrieval check 1. How do you pronounce watched? Watch ends in CH, so the answer is T. What about opened? Open ends in N, so use D. The answer comes from the final sound of each base verb, not the spelling of ed. Retrieval check 2. Whispered ends in R, so use D. Laughed ends in F, so use T. Started ends in T, so use ID. If you name the final sound of the base before speaking, you can solve unfamiliar verbs with confidence. Retrieval check 3. Added ends in D, so the past ending is ID. Missed ends in S, so choose T. Loved ends in V, so choose D. Notice the order. Base sound first, past ending second, sentence rhythm third.
Final proof. She asked for a taxi, called a friend, and wanted to arrive before it rained. Asked uses T after K, called uses D after L, wanted uses ID after T, and rain uses D after N. The pronunciation rule explains every ending.
Here is the solved pattern. Voiceless final sound takes T, asked, kissed, and laughed. Voiced final sound takes D, called, loved, and opened. A final T or D takes the extra ID syllable, wanted, needed, and started. Choose by sound, not spelling. Test 3 fresh verbs. Delivered ends with R, so use D. Watched ends with CH, so use T. Added ends with D, so use ID. If you can explain the final sound choice aloud, the pattern is ready for your own past tense story. Record 5 sentences about yesterday and mark each ending before you speak. For example, I visited a friend, cooked dinner, called my sister, watched a film, and decided to rest. Identify the final base sound in every verb, then check T, D, or ID.